Hi everyone, welcome to the International Youth Day Webinar 2024. My name is Jong-san, an intern at UNU-IAS, and I'll be the master of ceremony for this exciting event. And thank you for joining this webinar for everyone. So the webinar has been organized by UNU-IAS and youth leaders from diverse groups, including regional youth coordinators of regional centers of expertise, UNU-IAS students, and university students from Thailand who joined a capacity building program of UNU-IAS and the Korean government. So the International Youth Day has been observed by the United Nations since 2000 to celebrate young people and endorse their contributions to society. To celebrate this day, we are also launching this webinar with the theme Youth at the Digital Forefront and Sustainability. So we will explore the potential of youth in leveraging digital innovations to advance sustainability. And we have an interesting lineup of speakers and sessions that you can find insightful and inspiring. Can we go to the next page, please? So during the webinar, please make sure to mute your microphones when not speaking, and please ask questions during Q&A sessions and engage yourselves in discussions as well. And please feel free to introduce yourself and ask questions in the Zoom chat. Our staff will help you answering the questions. To the next page. So yeah, I'd like to introduce the co-hosts of the event. So different youth are co-hosting the event to moderate various sessions today. So the first one is me, Jong-san Byun. So hello, I'm an intern from UNU-IAS. And the next one is Dan Feng. So hi, Dan Feng.
Hello.
Yeah, and the next one is Max. Yep. Hi, Max.
Hi, all. Great to be here.
Great. And the next is Belgium. Hi, Bel.
Hello, this is Belgium.
Yeah, perfect. So you'll get to see us later. So for today's agenda, we're going to have an opening remark and an interactive session using Mentimeter. And then we're going to have a keynote speech in the following Q&A session, and also somewhat connected interactive session again. And we are going to have 3 thematic presentations on different topics and themes. And we're going to have group discussions using breakout function on the topics of the presentations. And then we're going to close, and that's it for today. So yeah, I hope everyone enjoys the event. And Dr. Jong-hee Park will give us opening remarks. She is the academic program officer, the head of academic program, innovation and education, UNU-IAS. So everyone, please welcome Dr. Jong-hee Park for her opening remarks.
Hello, everyone. Hello, hello. Thank you very much for joining us, especially where you are, if you are in the time zone of Friday evening, exciting Friday evening, or very early in the morning in America. So thank you very much for joining this exciting youth webinar today. This year's theme for International Youth Day by UN is the vital role of youth in harnessing potential of technologies to advance sustainable development. So aligning with this global theme, UNU-IAS is very excited and pleased to celebrate the power of young people, you, and your leadership at the nexus of digital technology and sustainable development. I totally knew that my opening remark or any opening remark of an event is the least anticipated part of an event and very boring part. And I don't want to stand between you and also the exciting and fun sessions lined up. So I will leave you with a very short story here. In an old best-selling book called The Young Man and Fire by Norman Maclean, the story goes with a tragic forest fire that killed 13 firefighters. The leader of the firefighter teams knew how to escape and survive by building a small fire in order to escape the bigger fire. So it's a tactic for firefighters, right? But none of his firefighter team followed him, and all of them were killed as a consequence. It was because they did not know what this leader is doing, and why the leader is setting the fire, small fire, and they didn't understand. So the leader had the skills to get his men out of the harms, but he hadn't built the shared context and trust for his leadership to be effective, and had to pay the fatal price, claiming 13 lives of his team. So what is the lesson from this story? When the leader keeps his or her skills and vision in himself or herself only, the skills and vision can go really wasted, or even lead to a tragic consequence, just like the story that I shared. You youth leader here today are here because you care about the planet, you care about the future, you care about the power of technology for sustainable development, and you care about inequality and risks that technology may pose. So that's why we are here, and then youth leaders are here, but please take one step further. Go out and share your leadership. Make sure that the other youth across the world understand your vision, share the context, and learn to lead. Then, only then, you will truly transform the world without anyone left behind. So with that, I thank you again very much for joining our session, and please enjoy the session. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Jong-hee, for the opening remarks. So now we can move on to the next sessions of the webinar. So, Koze, can you go to the website, the Mentimeter website? So yeah, we're going to utilize Mentimeter platform in this session. So if you could you please join our Mentimeter using your device, your phone, your laptop, or desktop. You can scan the QR code up here or click the link in the chat or use the code above. So yeah, Mentimeter is a real-time survey plus quiz tool to visualize your responses. So please join. And we're going to use it another time later. So please try to familiarize yourselves to it. So while joining, let me introduce this Mentimeter survey. So we will ask you some simple demographic questions and your thoughts on this webinar's theme. So this is for us to know better about you, but at the same time for you to know each other as well. So if you have joined, you can start answering the questions. Koze, can you go to the next? Yeah, so, So so the first question is asking how old you are. And as you can see, we have many students and some young professionals here, people aged 34 or less. And yeah, for your reasons, I'm seeing many from Asia Pacific and Asia in general, and one from Americas, and one from Africa. So hello everyone. So this is a bit of global audience from different people from Europe as well. So yeah, it's great to see the diverse groups. Can we go to the next question? So yeah, this shows your fields. We have like sustainability science, education, law, chemistry, Japanese studies. Yeah, diverse and responses. And I'm not seeing an obvious correlation here. Many are not really related. Also, I'm seeing lots of like sustainability or like the environment science. Yeah, can you go to the next question? Koze, can we go to the next question, please? Yeah, these are the words come to mind when you think about the connection between digitalization and sustainability. Yeah, we have AI, future innovation, authentic data, social media, opportunities. Yeah, lots of like positive ideas, but I want to also highlight that digitalization doesn't always align with development. So like, for example, there may be like AI bias or some um, social inclusiveness disparity between the global South and global North in terms of digital access. So yeah, lots of like positive words, but I want to say that digitalization does not automatically lead to sustainability. So yeah, but we have AI as the biggest word, and yeah, lots of interesting responses. Network connections, energy usage. So for this Mentimeter link, we'll make this open all the time throughout the session, so you can vote later as well, and we'll use it as a reference, as a data. So yeah, thank you so much. And that's it for the first interactive session. It'll be a short one. So now we're going to have the keynote speech, a presentation from Ms. Niruja Gupta, Assistant Program Manager from Safety Pin. So their project, Cities for Youth, was selected and is being showcased by UNDESA's International Youth Day commemoration. So probably we can share, yeah. And after this session, we will have a short Q&A session afterwards. So please prepare some questions. And everyone, please welcome Ms. Niruja for the keynote presentation.
Thank you, Jong-san. Hello, everybody. As already introduced by Jong-san, I am Niruja, and today I'm going to walk you through our program at SafetyPin called the Cities for Youth program, with a focus on digital tools to enable youth leadership for urban well-being. Cities are vibrant hubs of opportunities, but there are big questions around young people. Are our cities designed to respond to the complex needs and aspirations of young people? Do we have enough data, authentic data, to represent challenges that young people, especially young women, face in our cities? And one big question, what do exactly young people want from our cities? We see young people as powerful agents of change. They have ambitions, they have aspirations, and they want to learn and grow in cities. Young people have the dream to shape their lived experiences and environment around themselves. Yet, young people's voices remain unrepresented and underheard in decision-making processes. To be able to dwell into this deeper and to understand where are our systems lacking and being unjust to young people, this program, at SafetyPin, called the Cities for Youth program, dwelled into this very question of trying to understand what do young people want in their cities. What we did was we started speaking to diverse young groups across 4 cities in Rajasthan. And the young people that we spoke with came from diverse backgrounds, including diverse abilities, genders, socioeconomic groups, and sociocultural groups. What they talked about many things that they need from cities. They talked about having free mobility, safe infrastructure. They talked about education, employment, having safe public spaces, having skills and upgrading their skills. But one word kept repeating itself throughout our conversation. That was rights. They wanted right to the city. As David Harvey puts it, the right to the city is far more than the individual liberty to access urban resources. It is the right to change ourselves by changing the city. Taking this initiative forward, taking the idea and the conversation with many, many young people over 3 years in the state of Rajasthan across 4 cities, what we came up with was a framework called Urban Wellbeing for Young People. This framework tries to dwell deeper into understanding what do young people want from cities. Young people want to live with rights, they want to move without fear, they want to grow with pride and play without restrictions in cities. This holistic framework sort of outlines how civil society organizations, urban stakeholders, government departments, and young people themselves can take up different elements of the framework and implement in their work to create actionable change. To be able to access this report, you can scan the QR code that is being shared on the screen, or you can go on the SafeToPin website where you'll find a detailed report around this. Taking this framework into action, the Cities for Youth program came up with an approach. The approach was to focus on young people, was to engage with civil society partners, and to work with government stakeholders using digital tools and spatial data. With young people, the Cities for Youth program focused largely on enhancing leadership skills and recognition of young people as advocates for gender inclusion and well-being in cities. Empowering young people, especially women, was very necessary using technology and data, given the context of India, to be able to drive that kind of change. With civil society partners, we encourage different kind of city ecosystem players, including CSOs, academia, and media, to play a role of a catalyst of bringing different elements of the city and aspirations of young people to the forefront. We engage with different makers and administrators to ensure that government policies, schemes, and programs definitely incorporate gender inclusiveness and youth responsiveness into their action and how city planning and progression is framed around. The biggest aim, the one big aim of this program is to focus on creating a meaningful inclusion of young people's voices and experience to create a gender inclusive and youth responsive cities. We worked in the state of Rajasthan across 4 cities, namely Jaipur, Udaipur, Ajmer, and Jodhpur. We worked with 8,000 young people over 3 years, and we collected geospatial database on the lived experiences of young people across these 4 cities. We also partnered with 40 plus civil society organizations that were largely based in Rajasthan, but also in other parts of the country that were working on youth-based issues and feminist rights. We collaborated with many city and state government officials, and we conducted capacity building program. We conducted interaction and engagement on what youth responsive and gender inclusive cities look like. There are 3 major areas of this program that we deeply dived into. Understanding what are the digital tools for data generation, understanding youth leadership that drives change, and partnership for collaboration and gender inclusiveness, gender inclusive and youth responsive cities. Let's dwell deep into the first agenda of the program. Digital tools for data generation. To be able to understand the ground reality, we used different digital tools developed at SafeToPin to collect on-ground information and interact with the realities of people and their lived experiences. The first was the safety audit tool done using the My SafeToPin app, which is a free application available on Play Store and iOS, largely used for crowdsourced data collection on safety in cities. The second is the participatory tool, which helped us understand the user experience and lived experience of young people and citizens group in the city. This particular tool helped us get a more qualitative depth into the lives of young people and understanding what are their challenges and aspirations in the city. These 2 applications were used by young people to collect data in key public spaces and community areas across the 4 cities. This data was then supplemented with city-level infrastructure assessment that was done using the SafeToPin Night application. SafeToPin Night is an Android-based application for large-scale image data collection of streets in the city. What we do is mount a mobile phone with a camera facing on the windscreen of a car, and the car moves at a speed of, let's say, 50 kilometers per hour, very slowly, and it clicks pictures after every 10 meters to 20 meters. All of these pictures and photographs collected across arterial and subarterial, that is major and minor streets of the city, is then uploaded at the back end of our database. And what we are able to do is do a detailed analysis of the safety condition of different areas of the city based on different parameters, as I will be discussing going ahead. So this kind of 3 levels of data collection gave us a robust idea of what the city in terms of safety stands for. What does this safety audit mean? A safety audit is done at a location, at a geospatial location when you're standing at any public space in the city. It assesses that particular place on 9 basic parameters. That is the condition of lighting, walk path, openness, visibility, transport, security, presence of people, and the kind of gender usage that is available, and how as an individual am I feeling at that place, because nothing can surpass the idea of safety beyond my personal perception. So a safety audit done at any location generates a pin. And as you can see on the right side of your screen, you can see many such pins that have been marked across the city. Each color represents the level of safety in the city, and this data is available on the MySafetyPin app once citizen groups and people in the city collaborate together and generate these pins. What does it mean? What does this data do, and how do you take it forward? So using the same methodology of using SafetyPin Night and MySafetyPin application, we collected the safety audit data across 4 cities in Rajasthan, as already mentioned, Udaipur, Jaipur, Ajmer, and Jodhpur. And what you can see on your screen is the city map with all the safety audits conducted across the city at that particular point of time. The red audits indicate poor safety. Meaning that at these locations, the parameters of safety were least, and therefore qualifying those areas as relatively unsafe as compared to other parts of the city. The dark green dots that you can see are actually the safest areas of the city based on the 9 parameters and user experiences. This kind of helps understand the landscape of safety in the city, and taking this data forward with different kind of stakeholders helps them make decision going forward when developing city development maps or planning for inclusive participatory city development. What our youth leaders did with this data? Not only that they contributed in collecting this data, they also contributed in taking this forward. Our youth leaders conducted almost 1,400 plus OSAM. OSAM is an open space audit mapping across 4 cities. And what they did, they interacted with community on the safety audit, and they engaged with them on what data looks like and how their city is being represented when it comes to safety. They conducted user perspective interviews, understanding the depths of knowledge and gaining the perception of young people and community people living in the city. Not only just engaging with data, they all identified different issues like mobility, safety, toilets, cleanliness in city, and public spaces like parks and recreational areas as places where young people want to move around freely. And they created multiple campaigns in the city and amplified the message forward. Like, for example, in Ajmer, they created a night rally. In this particular night rally, they went out to demand for safe mobility, public transportation for young women after dark. So they rode on public transportation vehicles and they demanded for their safe mobility. And they conducted many such events over 6 to 8 months in the city to create attraction around the work, around the messaging that they wanted to take forward. They they took over and sort of reclaimed public spaces to share data with citizen groups and government and different urban stakeholders on the data that they collected on safety, and to create awareness about safe mobility and safe access of city across all times of the day. They created campaigns with communities and a citizen group on reclaiming public spaces, public parks, where young people can sit and recreate without the fear of getting judged, or without the fear of, without any kind of fear, and have a safe environment in public spaces. They designed street plays and conducted many street plays across the city on at different events, where they talked about the importance of clean areas, safe areas, and the necessity of having clean public toilets and accessible public toilets for young women to be able to access opportunities in the city, to be able to move around in the city without any fear or problems. In Jodhpur, they amplified this message further by creating youth addas, or youth discussion groups, what they call. And they try to amplify this message by going into different institutes, colleges, and community areas to take the messaging forward. What does this do? This helps us take the messaging forward for urban stakeholders. So this data, along with the voices of young people, and along with the data that was collected by young people, we took it to different government officials in the city. For example, creating platforms where data can be shared and engaged with, the dialogue platforms with urban stakeholders. This particular action led us into a space where the Jaipur Smart City, which is a special purpose vehicle of the municipal corporation in Jaipur, took up the data and integrated it with their robust data in the city. And what it successfully did was 90% of dark spots were reduced in the heritage city part of Jaipur using this particular data. Not only in terms of integration, but they also created a public platform where they created a public event called the Night Market, and they engaged with multiple CSOs and stakeholders to come together, and citizen groups to come together and have a dialogue about safe public places for young people in the cities. Last but not the least, this one intervention where the public transportation department in Jaipur expressed interest in conducting a pilot street study where we can develop and design interventions that make the cities more accessible and safe for the young people and women that are commuting across that area. This is a pilot street design that we proposed and consulted with them, and now they're in the process of trying to get it implemented to be able to replicate in other parts of the city as well. This brings us closer to the end of our presentation. At the end, I would like to highlight a few takeaways from this program, this robust program in one state, 4 cities across 3 years, engaging 8,000 plus young people. There are certain learnings. What are these learnings? The learnings include the fact that youth are actually, we can see young people as part of the problem solving for urban well-being. They have robust skills and aspirations to contribute to the environment around them. They can diagnose complex challenges and identify needs that are necessary for an inclusive and cohesive urban environment. Youth as initiators of intergenerational dialogue, not only working with young people, it made them more activated and mobilized. They also communicated this with their parents, their mothers, their siblings, and the dialogue and the data became an evidence to take this dialogue forward. And ultimately, youth as creators of knowledge and narratives. That is, meaningful data enables young people to create narratives and knowledge in cities based on their lived experiences. This lived experience can be translated into better cities for young people to create well-being for them, to access opportunities and growth. I would like to close by quoting Jane Jacobs, that cities have the capability of providing something for everybody, only because and only when they are created by everybody. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nirja, for the insightful and very interesting presentation. So now we need to have a short, we were going to have a short Q&A session, but given the short time, we can just answer the questions in the chat. Nirja, can you see the chat, the questions from Evans and Kostov? So I'm gonna read. So did you consider, so after this safety data is acquired, did you consider having a policy to underpin the study based on collaboration with different agencies? And how did you acquire the funding of the study?
Okay. Can you repeat the first part of the question?
It's in the chat. So did you
Oh yeah,
consider
okay.
having a, yeah. Did you consider
Yeah.
having a policy to underpin the study based on collaboration with different agencies?
So we are working with different government stakeholders, and the fact that urban well-being for young people is a broad horizon. So we engage with different kind of stakeholders, and I would not say we depend on one particular policy to ride on to, but there were multiple things like employment opportunities, a right to employment, right to education, right to the city that we are sort of looking at. And to inquire about the funding of the study, so on the first slide, I had mentioned the Foundation Botnar. They are the supporters for this particular program that we are running. I hope that helps you understand. I hope that helps answer the question.
Nice. And one more question from Kostov. Do you want to extend your vision to other parts of India?
Absolutely. We are definitely interested in taking it in other regions and other states of India. We are happy to look forward to different kinds of collaboration. Please feel free to reach out to us, and we can definitely look into the possibilities.
Nice. We would like to have more. I mean, we could have more questions, but given the short time, we should end our Q&A session here. And if any of you have further questions or any ideas or like collaboration requests, you can just contact her or her team, Safety Pin. So now I give the floor to Max for the next interactive Mentimeter session.
Yes, thank you, Yon-san, and thank you, Niruja, for the very inspiring presentation as well. But I think you also highlighted that we need to hear from the youth themselves. So that's what we also want to do now with all of you that are here. You already know the Mentimeter, so if you could get back into the Mentimeter session, I think it's a different session than the first one. So you need to scan the link again, and the link is otherwise also in the chat. And then I think we're now getting the question also on the screen. So we're going to start with two short multiple choice questions, check some of your fact-checking knowledge, but afterwards, of course, we also want to hear a bit from you guys. But to start with, I think we can go to the first question already. I hope everyone had the chance to scan the QR code, otherwise the link is in the chat as well. So the first question is, what is the global percentage of people aged 24 or less globally? Of course, definition of youth that we use at the UN systems, it's a bit higher than that, but in general, if you just look at the younger part of the population, 24 and less, how much do you think percentage-wise that is? Getting some answers in there already. So not a lot of agreement there. I think there's a lot of different answers. Still, some people thinking it's very high with 60%. That's most, but I think you're all very split still in your assessment. It's of course also difficult to see that, but the actual answer is C, so 40%. It's quite a high number compared to the general population. of course, but what you will see, for example, is that in the regions of Africa and Asia Pacific, the percentage is a little bit higher, while in higher income countries, for example, in Europe or the US, the percentage actually a lot lower. They're dealing more and more with an aging population. So we see that it differs, of course, a bit globally, but all in all, there is a very sizable part of our society on this planet is age 24 or less. So the topic of youth is very relevant still. So I think with that, we can move to the second question, connecting, of course, the two topics of today's webinar. If you look at that part of society, data sources is a little bit different. So age 25 or less, how many of those do you think have internet access at home? So this is not just not in general internet access. Some people, of course, might have internet access through their school, their education, or their work, but how many of them have internet access at home? In data is already a bit older, 2020, so maybe it's already a bit more by now, hopefully. Well, we're very evenly spread again. That is good. I think that also is testament to the diverse group of people that we have here. But now there's one answer, 40%, 30% seems to be the majority. It's actually, both of you are a little bit right. I think the answer is in the middle. It's 33%, so about 1 in 3 only of young people have internet access at home. And of course, also this is largely skewed across world regions. But that also really shows that while we have a very large percentage of young people on this planet, and I think what we also heard from Niruja just now, they're very a relevant stakeholder in issues. A lot of them don't have internet access at home, which of course also creates quite some inequalities and takes also partly away the chances that, for example, digitalization could provide them with. So just the simple question of access to the internet is also still one that we need to tackle. And then before we move on to the presentations, also, of course, we want to hear from you. And if we go to the next question, it's actually the same question that Niruja also asked the young people that she's working with in India, but we also want to hear from you. What is it that you want from your cities? Of course, just one short sentence probably won't be enough, but if you can quickly summarize what's for you important for the cities that you live in yourself. For me personally, for example, it has always been, for some reason, a water or a river or bodies of water within the city. I feel a lot more at home in those cities than those without. But what we see a lot, equal opportunities, rights, that's of course also something that came back in Niruja's research. More green space, safety, security, greenery, public transportation. I think it's quite a broad scale of things you're mentioning. And I think it's also rightfully so that these are things that as young people, we can ask for these things in the places that we live. And it's important that we speak up about those. So feel free to please keep sharing your thoughts here. We would love to hear from you. But also we have 3 wonderful speakers for you on several of the aspects that you're mentioning that are conducting projects on part of these topics already. So I would love to move over to the presentations and hear from them. Yeah, we have one last question that I don't think have time for, but please also feel free to fill it in. We'd love to hear from you and we'll take it in our data collection afterwards. But I think looking at the time, we can move to the presentation sessions. And we have 3 presenters for you. Ms. Tori Morris, Mr. Priyapul Cleo and Mr. Jerome Silva. I think we'll start with Ms. Tori Morris. She's Project Manager Education at Students Organising for Sustainability UK, and she'll talk about green skills and green jobs for youth. Now, maybe one short thing before we start is that we won't have a Q&A session after the presentations, but after the 3 presentations are done, we will move you all into breakout rooms. So please, if you have any questions, put them in the chat, write them down, and then afterwards you can move to the respective breakout session of the speaker that you wanted to ask the question to, and have actually also a bit more of a discussion about it. So yeah, Ms. Morris, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction, and it's an absolute pleasure to be here. So I've just shared my screen with you, and I'm going to run through a couple of slides. So I hope that everybody can see that. Any problems, pop it in the chat, and I'll do my best to make sure you can see them. So I'm here today from SOS, which stands for Students Organising for Sustainability. Now, I'm based in our UK branch of the organisation, but have been supporting some of our international work, and that's what I'm here to talk to you about today. We're only going to be scratching the surface. So on every slide, I've popped that QR code, and that links to the consultation report that I'm going to be sharing with you today. And this is quite hot off the press. We launched it last month at the United Nations High Level Political Forum in New York, an official side event. So it's really nice to be able to share this with you, and feels really sort of poignant at this point in time. So let me just, apologies, I'm not the most technical. Here we go. So it was the global youth consultation, getting youth voice, youth input into green skills and green jobs. And this has been carried out in collaboration with the United Nations Environment Programme as part of the Green Jobs for Youth Pact, which is a collaborative initiative by the ILO, UNEP and UNICEF. And that's essentially working with young people across the world and governments and all sorts of partners and stakeholders to create meaningful opportunities for greening the carbon economy and providing a just transition with meaningful opportunities for young people. And I want to just touch upon what that came out of that research and how we went about it. So I've popped the aims and the methodology on here for the slide. In the essence of time, I'm not going to go into too much detail, but it was youth-led from the core. We recruited 5 youth leads to run the project in 5 regions around the world. And what's unique about us is we didn't run the same methodology. We didn't do the same survey, the same workshop. That was determined by those young people to bring it relevant to their region in a way that they felt youth could most identify with. But the youth were asked the same sort of questions in terms of how do you define green skills? What do you consider to be green jobs? And what do we need to see to involve more young people, and try and come up with some calls to action, the key stakeholders to help make this happen. We ended up working with 18 to 35-year-olds, at least over 1,000 participants across 43 countries. So we've really wanted a diverse representation in that research to help us understand the youth perspectives. So I've just popped this slide up here that just gives you an overview of that changing methodology. So it really visually highlights those regional variations led by students. And that's why we had a bit of a challenge evaluating the data, because all the techniques and all the methods were different, but it allowed us to really talk in that youth voice in a way that they resonated with, whether that be in person or online. And we really utilize the technology to allow greater participation that way. And these are just our really headline top level consultation outcomes globally. And when you look at the report, you can see regional outcomes for each of those 5 regions. But on the whole, we kind of gathered all of that data and thought, well, what are young people saying? What is important to young people? And what do we need to think about? And these are the 4 ones that came out of. And the one that I think is really important to think about is that young people understand green skills to be interdisciplinary and inclusive of both technical and softer skills. So there's been this history of people assuming that digitalization and technology is just a hard technical skill. And obviously it is, and that's super important, but actually also that has a really important role to play in helping to facilitate and foster and increase accessibility to those softer skills that are also so important for us to move towards that green economy and future green jobs as well. And as a result of the consultation, all of the research, all of the feedback, all of the anecdotal evidence and physical evidence all came together to create this global youth definition of what green skills are and what green jobs are. And the importance of this is that we all speak different languages, we all have our own local, regional variations, but having a really collective meaning just helps make sure that when we're talking about green skills and green jobs, it's coming from what is important for young people, what is important for the young people of the future, and that these people who are growing up, all of us are growing up into this changing world. We all have the right and the responsibility to have a say what our future looks like, what future opportunities there are, and how we can do the best for ourselves, for society, and for our planet as well. So I'm not going to read through those definitions. Hopefully you've read them by now. But I said, scan that QR code and you can really see it in more detail. And as a result, we've come up with calls to actions, and we split these into educators, employers in industry, and policymakers. And with the idea being, this shows what youth want. This is youth driven. We need to have collaboration, those open conversations on a global and a local scale to really drive the way for accessibility and priorities when it comes to green skills and green jobs. And that's through starting your education right through to lifelong learning. So we've got our calls to action of educators, our employers and industry, and then our policymakers. And apologies, I have whizzed through those, but do encourage you to have a look at them. And so in terms of summarizing this, what's next? Well, this is where really utilizing the sort of global nature and platforms like this to share. We've done this youth work. We've got youth that really care about what's happening in the future in terms of what their jobs and skills and how we can get through that. We're trying to close the gap between the availability of green jobs and the development of what we need for the future, and how we are a part of that through conversations with youth as well. And I do encourage you to look at the International Green Learning and Skills Accelerator. That helps share a little bit more about what great next steps could be. And I'm going to finish this, and I'm so sorry, that was such a quick overview, and I could talk about this for hours with you. My question that I pose for you, now that we've got this youth definition of green jobs, green skills, and we've heard from the young people around the globe, what role can digitalization play in facilitating the wider green skills and jobs agenda? So how can we utilize what's available to us? What are the opportunities, but also what are the challenges, which have already been highlighted from the last sort of Mentimeter? We've got to balance those to ensure that it's accessible for everyone. And thank you so much for having me here today. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you, Tori. I think that was a very speed run, but still very, very rich and very interesting. I'll definitely check out the report, and I would love also to talk more. I loved part of your definition as green skills as the golden thread through different disciplines. So yeah, I would really encourage everyone to check out the report. I think it's tremendously important work that you've done, and as Youngwee Park also mentioned in the chat, especially the methodology, having this designed and carried out fully by youth, I think makes it so valuable and rich as well. So really, thank you for that. For all of you, we're moving into the breakout sessions after the presentation. So then those of you in this session can also have a bit more time and talk a bit more in depth with Tori about this. Thanks a lot, Tori. And then we're moving on to our second presentation of the day with Mr. Priyapol Prasankliev. I hope I pronounced that name correctly. He's president of the KMITL Startup Hub, and he's going to present about driving sustainability through innovation, how startups in the digital sector can help with the sustainability transitions. So the floor is yours.
Okay, so hi, nice to meet you guys. Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you.
Yes, okay. So I will share my screen right now. A moment. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes, we do. Perfect.
Okay, so today I will talk about like youth and digital forefront driving sustainability toward innovation. So this is an overview. So for the KMITR Startup Hub, we empowering youth for a sustainable future, fostering innovation and entrepreneurship among youth leaders. So here is our key message. Youth driving digital innovation for sustainability and balance between technology and environment impact. So what we do at KMITR Startup Hub, so we both incubate student project like engineering project or business project to help in sustainability and also like in another business area too. Then we also like have innovative center for you to collaborate some project together. So here is one of our flagship program last year. We do international data hackathon for sustainability. So I see that when people do hackathon, sometimes they like thinking to empathize the user, but like they don't have like actually see like the data. So here we prepare the report and the data set from like UN and other resources for students to analyze the data and to tackle with the data with two from our partner SAP, SAP. So the impact of this program, we have like 200 participants across like Asia come together to Thailand, and we have 20 innovative projects. So our winner, what they do about like the smart self-service hotel. So it's empowering local communities and innovative self-service model. And our first runner-up, they do food waste management, creating a waste supply chain and reducing waste and supporting sustainability. So here we collaborate with our partner to bring our winner and vote or our winner to do the project in real. So the next project is like our in-house developing project, DOAE page forecast. So the problem statement is like we have the page outbreak in Thailand. So what we do is we do the real-time page detection via photo and big data and AI for the analysis. So this application we will launch nationwide to the local farmer so they can take a picture with their phone and upload to check like whether the page or the seed is in their area or not, or like in their farm. Yeah. Then the AI will analyze the result via image processing. And the next step that we are currently research is use the satellite image from ESA or like the European organization that take care about the satellites and space science. So we use their satellite image and analyze with the AI to help prediction in border area. And with these applications, the application is only for one applications that we connect with the farmer. But when we have like all farmer in Thailand use this application, so we can have a big data and we can predict like forecast nationwide outbreak, like which area it will outbreak in Thailand. And notifications notify the farmer before they lose their their crop. So the challenge and solutions I see for the youth to do the impact in sustainability is digital divide and balancing technology with the environment. So the solutions is like to access to the technology. Right now we have like the AI or generative AI, which you can chat or use the technology more easier. So currently it's easier right now. And we also do training and sustainably focused business framework. So like we teach the student or the youth to understand the business framework so they can both empathy the problems and make money so it can sustain their project. So yeah, at the end right now, so I have some questions like how can we ensure digital innovation promotes equality and sustainability? Or what roles can youth play in advancing SDG through technology? So here is like my open question for our participants. Thank you.
Thank you, Piriapo. I think what you're doing in Thailand and the way you combine both the strength of youth and the innovation of youth with those very real challenges that you also address and we need to deal with is really inspiring. I think a lot of the challenges and point that you raised are also points that actually came up earlier in earlier presentations or also in the questions that we asked and responses. So I think you're really on a great track there. So thanks a lot for your presentation. And then I think without further ado, we can move on to the, as said again, if there's questions, please put them in the chat, but we'll have the breakout rooms afterwards. But I think with that, we can move on to the last presentation by Mr. Jerome Silva. He's a research associate at UNU-IAS, and he will be talking about digital tools for tracking and reducing the carbon footprint. Mr. Silla, the floor is yours.
Can you all see my screen? There you go. Thanks very much. I'm Jerome from UNU-IAS, and I'll be presenting digital tools for tracking and reducing carbon footprint. The presentation is divided into 3 parts. We'll first dive in about the concept of carbon footprint, and then we'll move on to different tools, online tools to calculate carbon footprint. And then we'll end the presentation with another tool. It's an educational tool on how to reduce our carbon footprint that our team developed at UNU-IAS. So first, let's talk about carbon footprint. But before we do that, let's review first what is carbon emissions. Carbon emissions, I think many of us are familiar with this concept. It's essentially carbon dioxide released in the atmosphere. So mostly from the burning of fossil fuels, including coal, oil, or natural gas. But we also know that everyday human activities also release carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases such as methane or nitrous oxide or F gases. And these emissions trap heat in the earth and contributing to global warming and climate change. Now, carbon footprint is the total emissions caused by an activity or total emissions accumulated over the life cycle of a product. So I assume many of our participants today are young students that commute to school. So whether you drive your own private vehicle or you take public transportation, those activities release carbon dioxide to the atmosphere, right? Or let's say in the same day you eat a burger and imagine all the components of the burger, especially the one in the middle, the beefy patty in the middle, right? It's very tasty, but imagine the definition of carbon footprint is you have to consider the total emissions accumulated over the life cycle of that product. So from, let's say, the raising of the cattle from the very beginning of that beef patty until the actual production of the patty, you have to consider all of those steps, all the emissions throughout those steps, and that's a carbon footprint for that. Now, imagine your day. What are your activities in one day? List them down. And then what are the carbon emissions per activity? You add up all of those emissions in one day, and that will be your individual carbon footprint in that day. So the question now is maybe everybody's thinking, how do we estimate or how do we calculate carbon footprint? So there are a lot of tools actually available online, and luckily many of them are free. And 2 of them were actually developed by the UN, particularly by the UNFCCC or the UN body for climate change. So I'll discuss the first one. It's called the carbon footprint calculator, and essentially gives you a total and a breakdown of your carbon footprint. So it will ask you a series of questions, very easy, very intuitive questions. It will start with your background, let's say the number of people in your home or your country of residence, followed by more detailed information about your lifestyle, whether it's your food consumption, your energy usage, or your transportation, for example. One question at the end I think is very interesting is your average number of flights per year. So you put those information in the tool, and then it gives you this result. So it gives you the breakdown of your emissions and then also your total emissions per year. This is the estimated value. What I like about this tool as well is that you can compare your annual emissions with the country average that you're located in and also the world average. Now, if you feel that your total emissions are very high, there's also a button below where you could offset your carbon footprint. And that essentially takes you to a web page that provides several projects, several green investment projects where you could donate money to these environmentally friendly projects. Now, if you don't want to do that, there are also other ways to offset your carbon footprints. You can easily join your local community in tree planting initiatives or reforestation activities that can also offset your carbon footprint. Another tool is a much simpler version of the first one. It's called Lifestyle Calculator. And then you just answer 12 simple questions, and you can complete this in 4 minutes. I did it myself. I completed it within 2 minutes. It's very easy and very similar to the first one. It also gives you personal tips at the end on how to make smarter climate choices. So the results are pretty similar. It gives you your total emissions right here, the estimated value. But I like this one better in a sense because it has this visuals, very colorful visuals, very intuitive of the breakdown of your emissions and in different categories, whether transport, your home, shopping. And then if you click one of these categories, it further breaks down your emissions into subcategories. So these tools are very effective if you want to estimate your carbon footprint. And they're free, so feel free to search them online. I'll be sharing the links later. So feel free to use them and utilize them. Another tool that I want to introduce is the one that's developed by our team. It's very different. It's an educational tool. In fact, it's an e-course. It's an online course about net zero. So we talk about carbon footprint, greenhouse gas emissions, and essentially the basics of climate change and net zero. Probably you've heard a lot about this term, net zero or carbon neutrality, in the recent years. If you're not familiar with the concept, it's essentially just a balance of carbon emissions and carbon reductions. That's why it's zero, balance. We want it balanced. But you want to consider the other initiatives as well to offset your carbon emissions, such as what I mentioned earlier, green investment projects, your joining tree planting or reforestation initiatives, or even tech solutions such as CCS or carbon capture storage. You include all of those information together and you want net zero. That's your goal. That's our goal. And the course it's self-paced, it's free, and again, it talks about the basics of climate change. So you don't really need a technical background in climate science to complete this course. So if you want to learn about, let's say, does my country have a net zero target? Or what is the Paris Agreement, right? Or if you want to learn more about how to reduce your carbon footprint, all of this information are included in this online course. In fact, all of the contents of my presentation are included in this online course. So you just finish, the course is comprised of very easy to understand modules. First module is what is net zero? Second one is why net zero is important? How is it connected to climate change? And the third one are what are the different approaches of different stakeholders? How can they contribute to net zero? So you take the quiz at the end. Each module is about 20-30 minutes long. You finish it, and then you get a certificate from UNU. Again, it's free. So if you are interested in learning more about net zero and further reducing your carbon footprint, feel free to scan this QR code. I will be sharing the links in the Zoom chat. And I don't think we have time for a pop quiz, so I think I'm going to skip this one. But thanks very much. If you have any questions, you could always contact us through this email. I'll be sharing all the information later in the Zoom chat. But otherwise, I'll be in the breakout room. I'll be happy to address your questions. So thank you very much.
I think you have 1 minute for the pop quiz if you want to do it, Jerome. But we can also keep it for the breakout room.
Let's do it. Why not? Let's do it. Sure. So pop quiz, very easy. Probably you've seen the answer already because I already scrolled through my slides, but true or false, very quick question. Single-use cotton bags are a more sustainable option than single-use plastic bags. I'll give you 20, maybe 10 seconds to think about it. And then type in your answers in the chat. Single-use cotton bags are a more sustainable option than single-use plastic bags. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Everybody type in your answers in the chat. I see a lot of false, no. I see some true, no way, false, 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 false. Feels like many participants are saying false. So essentially, whether it's cotton bag or a plastic bag, a single usage of them is not a sustainable practice. So the key to reducing environmental impacts is we want to reuse the items as many times as possible. So the answer is false. So that's my presentation. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Jerome. I think it's a very nice highlight of some really great tools. Also highlighting again the importance of data collection, and then maybe not so much data collection on a larger scale, but also getting insight into your own behavior, which in the end, of course, is also a form of data, along with, I think, what it seems a very great course to also put it a bit in perspective and learn about how to act on that data. So thanks a lot. I saw a couple messages in the chat, so please also share the link to the online course in the chat. Yeah, thanks a lot. And with that, I can imagine after these 3 presentations, you have a lot of questions and a lot of things to discuss. So luckily, we have some time for that now. All of you signed up for one of the 3 breakout rooms already beforehand, so we'll auto-assign you. But maybe, although if I would have to choose now, I wouldn't know where to go. So I think it's good that I chose beforehand. But if you really want to change your room, you can change your room in the first minute of the breakout still. But after that, we would ask you to stay in one room. So also with the group that's there, you can have a discussion and keep talking about it a little bit more. So the breakout sessions will be moderated by Young Sun, which you've already met earlier in the session. He will moderate the first breakout room together with Ms. Tori Morris. Then the second one is moderated by Dan Feng. That's the session with Mr. Pirapol. And then the last one is together with Jerome. That's moderated by Belgium. So I think you will be automatically assigned to the breakout rooms any minute now. That was it from me. Thanks a lot, and enjoy your discussions. So for all of you that are still here, you got a pop-up message asking you to join the breakout rooms. So you can join via the pop-up message. And but also if you click, I think not now, you can also still switch the rooms. I think you should have a menu where you can choose any of the 3 sessions.
Max, would you like to join the room?
Yes, I'll do
Okay,
that now.
please go ahead.
Yeah.
I am the person who watched the room, so please
Okay,
go.
perfect.
Yeah,
I thought I
going
would
to.
stay behind for a little
No,
bit.
no, that's okay.
Yeah. Perfect. Thank you.
So see you soon.
Can,
Enjoy.
sorry, can you please assign me the room for carbon footprints, please?
Ah, you are not assigned. Hmm.
Yes, please.
Evans. Moving to which room? Digital tool or AI?
Carbon footprints
Carbon
by
footprint.
by
Okay.
by Jerome. Yes.
Okay, you are
Okay.
going to carbon footprint room now.
Okay, thank you.
I'm assigned. Oh, this one.
Sorry. Oh, so welcome back to the main chat. The main chat. The main room. Yeah, we didn't have enough time to finish our discussion in our room, and hopefully other rooms had enough valuable discussions. So let me, Danfeng, and Belgium to share some answers to the presentation and some key takeaways. So in our room, Green Skills and Green Jobs, we talked about some disparity in accessing green jobs. Like, so for example, the USA has like lots of opportunities for green jobs and green skills, but in other nations, they do not have like the equal level of access to such skills and jobs. So it was set to utilize digital devices, the digital network to promote equal opportunities in accessing those jobs. Yeah, so there was I think that was the key takeaway from our room. And now, Danfeng, could you share your summary or
Oh,
your
sure.
yep.
So when we talk about the two questions in the presentation, unfortunately, sometimes we cannot hear people clearly. So which prove the internet quality is very important. So it's related to the access. Like so firstly, if we want to, because our topic is like how can we ensure equality and sustainability when we make use of digital technology. So firstly, it's related about the access. We have to like enable more people to get access to the smartphone, to the laptop, to stable internet and AI. And secondly, we talk about the digital literacy. Like if people already have the access, but they need to how to make full use of it. And we also we always focus on use, but there are interesting questions here too. Like how can we don't leave like elder people left alone because they cannot get access or learn new technology very fast, or they are not engaged with this kind of topic. So it's also used responsibility to help this kind of people because they are a very important part of the whole human community too. And yes, that's the insights from our groups. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Danfeng. That was interesting. And Belgium, could you share yours?
Oh, actually, our group has so many ideas. So the highlights of the idea of how individuals can reduce their carbon footprint, mainly about the interesting about being a vegan. Like if one cannot being a vegan like entire life, they can being like once a week to reduce the consumption of the increase the consumption of the agricultural products than the farming. And the second one is about the social media campaign is to raise awareness about the individuals that can reach to the sustainability, and then increase more understandable, and they can get engaged more by their social media. And the last thing is about people. So many people doesn't have their electronic devices to learn about how to reduce their carbon footprints. So the things here is training people about net zero by using the paper-based net zero coursework, or promote the collaboration between the local organizations and local people, and then send devices for them to learn about new things, so it can reach more people by collaboration. Yeah, it's the key to success and key to for making the teamwork, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, nice. Very interesting. I like the fact that the discussion session gave like new ideas, initiated new thoughts, new discussions, or even like new connections or new collaborations. Yeah. I encourage people to like contact each other for further cooperation or collaboration. So yeah, there was the end of the breakout session, and now to wrap up, so thank you everyone for your active participation in today's webinar. So we've had inspiring presentations and insightful discussions. And yeah, I'd like to express my gratitude to all the speakers, the moderators, to our staff and the participants as well for your valuable contributions. And as we close, probably we can remember that digitalization offers tremendous opportunities for youth and sustainability and some threats as well. And we youth have this ability to harness these tools and for sustainable development. So yeah, so today's event has shown that with youth engagement and innovation, we can make a more meaningful impact. Yeah, so thank you everyone. Thank you once again for joining us. And yeah, I hope you feel inspired, and let's continue work together and have a wonderful day and weekend yep.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you everyone. Thank you.
Thank
So
you.
I put my
Thank
contact
you.
in the chat. So anyone have any questions, so don't hesitate to contact me.
Nice. Thank you everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello.
Yeah, I guess
Yeah.
it's us only now.
Mm,
So yeah, thank you so much, everybody. Congratulations. It was a good job and great job, everyone, and all this youth. I was so inspired by your leading of whole design and presentation, moderation, and everything. So thank you so much, and I also thank Tori, Piriapo, our keynote left, I think, and Jerome also for sharing the great insightful work that you guys are doing. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, and our